Goosey Goosey Gander, and Three Blind Mice are two of the most repeated nursery rhymes in the English language. Popular retellings claim both were secret codes for real people being burned alive and hunted down. But when you check the actual publication dates, the story gets a lot more complicated. So were these rhymes really coded messages, or is something else going on? The persecution behind the legend is completely real, even if the rhyme's literal origin story is not. Let's start with what actually happened in Tudor England. In 1534, Henry Roman VIII broke from Rome, and the Church of England became the established, Protestant-leaning church of the country. English Catholics who refused to convert entered decades of legal and physical danger. Under Mary I's reign, from 1553 to 1558, around 287 people were executed for their faith, including 56 women. Another 30 people died in prison during that same period, never reaching an execution at all. Three of the most famous victims were Hugh Latimer, Nicholas Ridley, and Thomas Cranmer, known today as the Oxford Martyrs. Latimer and Ridley were burned at the stake outside the Divinity School in Oxford on October 16, 1555. Cranmer was burned in the same location on March 21, 1556. These three men are the figures popularly linked to Three Blind Mice. When Elizabeth I took the throne, the danger did not end. It just changed shape. Recusancy, the legal offense of refusing to attend Anglican church services, became formally punishable under the 1581 statute. That law raised the fine for recusancy from 12 pence to £20 per month. £20 was an enormous sum when a typical household earned only £10 to £20 in an entire year. After 1585, simply having a Catholic priest present in your home became a treasonable offense, punishable by death. Searchers and informer networks were legally allowed to break into homes suspected of hiding priests. Margaret Clitheroe of York was pressed to death under a heavy door in 1586 for refusing to plead to a charge of harboring priests. Nicholas Owen, a recusant carpenter, built hidden chambers called priest holes inside walls, under floorboards, and behind fireplaces to hide fugitive priests. He died under torture in 1606, rather than reveal a single one of those hiding places. Those priest holes are the hidden spaces popularly connected to the old man in Goosey Goosey Gander. So here is the rhyme itself. Goosey Goosey Gander, where shall I wander? Upstairs and downstairs, and in my lady's chamber. There I met an old man who would not say his prayers, so I took him by his left leg and threw him down the stairs. The popular reading says the old man is a Catholic priest, discovered hiding in a priest hole, refusing to pray in the government-approved Anglican format. That refusal under Elizabethan law was the exact offense that could send an entire household to prison or worse. It is a compelling reading, and the underlying persecution is completely documented and real. But here is the problem. Goosey Goosey Gander was first published in 1784 in a collection called The Nursery Parnassus. That is nearly 2 centuries after the Elizabethan penal laws that supposedly inspired it. Three Blind Mice has the same timing problem, just with different numbers. It was first published as a musical round in 1609, inside Thomas Ravenscroft's Deuteromelia, or the second part of music's melody. Mary I died in 1558, which means the rhyme appeared more than 50 years after the events it supposedly encodes. A 50-year gap between an event and its first written trace makes a literal, on-the-day origin very hard to support. And the content itself doesn't match the history as cleanly as the legend suggests. Queen Mary did not blind the 3 bishops. She had them burned alive. If the rhyme were a literal, direct reference, you would expect it to describe burning, not blindness. That mismatch is one of the main reasons historians treat the Marian origin theory as folklore layered onto the rhyme, rather than a literal coded record. So what actually happened here? Many historians now argue that both rhymes are older folk verses that picked up political meaning over time, long after they were first sung. The persecution was real. The fear was real. Margaret Clitheroe really was pressed to death. Nicholas Owen really did die under torture protecting his hiding places. 287 people really were executed under Mary I's regime. What likely isn't real is the idea that ordinary English families sang these exact rhymes as literal, functioning warning codes on the day these events happened. The dark reputation of these rhymes comes far more from centuries of retelling than from anything embedded in the original words. That doesn't make the story less unsettling. It just means the danger came from history itself, not from a secret code hidden inside a children's song. Real people really did hide in walls. Real people really did die refusing to give up those hiding places. The rhyme simply arrived generations later and absorbed that fear the way folklore always does, slowly and indirectly. Once you know the actual dates, both rhymes read completely differently. They stop being literal messages and start looking like an entire culture's memory of terror, distilled into something simple enough for a child to sing. If you want to see which other nursery rhymes carry hidden historical weight like this, there is another video on this channel digging into 3 more. Watch that one next to see what's really behind the rhymes you already know by heart.